back to All Round Health Talk. Today we are going to talk about drug abuse. It's a very important issue, and so many people are suffering from the effects of drug abuse. So today we feel like it's very important for us to talk about it. So the first question we have on drug abuse is, why do people get addicted? What happens actually to make you get addicted? So basically, the brain has different parts. There's a part of the brain that is called the limbic system, which is in charge of pleasure. So the pleasure you get from food, from sex, from doing things that you love is actually controlled by the limbic system. And for them to do that, for them to send for the neurons to send signals within that limbic system, we need messengers, and these messengers are dopamines, and these dopamines help us to just pass around this message for you to get the pleasurable feeling when you eat, or when you have sex, or when you do something that you really like. And so it's the same thing with drugs. So when you take a drug and it creates a pleasurable feeling, the dopamine levels are increased, helps in the transmission, and then you get a pleasurable feeling. Normally, because when we eat something, for example, I love ice cream. When I eat ice cream, I get pleasure, like really good pleasure. So that feeling of pleasure as a human being makes me want to go get ice cream the next day. Yeah. It's the same thing with drugs. Because you've taken drugs and it's stimulated the limbic system and you've experienced a pleasurable feeling, you want to go back to that same thing that gives you pleasure. So that's what happens to people who take drugs. And what happens is that when they take these drugs, it increases the production of dopamines, which are the messengers, but not the dopamines that your brain produces on its own. So when they take the drugs, the dopamine levels increase, and when your brain notices that the dopamine levels are too high, it tries to control the level, so it reduces its own production of dopamine. So even when you don't take drugs, your dopamine level is so low that you start feeling like tired, exhausted, depressed, like you're just tired, exhausted. You feel flat, you don't feel any excitement,
any passion for life.
Exactly. So that makes you want to go for more drugs, for you to feel some kind of excitement, to feel like you're alive. So these people go back to get more drugs. But in this case, you need more drugs to get the same feeling you had the last time. So it's like a vicious circle. The more drugs you take, the more your system reduces its own dopamine, and that makes you want to increase more dopamine, and it just keeps going like that. And these people, after a period of time, get so addicted and they can't live without the drugs. So this is what actually happens when people get addicted to drugs.
So the next question we got about drug abuse is, can addiction cause mental disorders or diseases? Definitely yes, they do, because generally the first place of action of these drugs is your nervous system, your brain, right? So depending on the type of drug, that depends on the action or the symptom that this person will feel. We have some drugs that depress the central nervous system, we have some drugs that stimulate the central nervous system, and there are some drugs that cause you to hallucinate and all that stuff. So it depends on the kind of drug you take. So on a long run, yes, it will affect your brain principally. There are other organs in the body that can affect, but principally it will affect your brain. You can start having dementia on a long run. You can have the Wernicke-Korsakoff encephalopathy. Yeah, it's a big name, but yeah, basically your brain is fried. Your brain is going to be fried on the long run. So there are other things like gastritis, hepatitis, liver scarring, in weight increase, high blood pressure, depending on the kind of drug you take.
HIV.
Right? HIV too. It makes some of these drugs that make you prone to getting disease like that, because the needle, you have to like inject yourself with needles that other people have used, and most of these addicts, they share needles, so making it possible, or you're vulnerable to get diseases like HIV or hepatitis B, etc. Right? So yes, definitely drugs affect us mentally. It affects us metabolically. It affects everything about you: your mental state of mind, your physical state of mind, like your social state of mind. It doesn't just affect you; it affects everyone around you: your family, your friends, colleagues, every single person, even some stranger walking on the road. You could attack the person in your moment of high. So yeah, drugs and drug addiction has a very very long-standing effect and consequences on a person.
So next question, can simple medications, meaning medications that your doctors give to you, can those medications cause addiction? And the answer is yes. So the medications that your doctors give to you are basically to treat whatever symptoms or disease that you have, but some of them can cause addictions if you overuse it, if you don't follow prescriptions and all that. So some of the medications, normal medications that you get in a clinic or in a hospital that can cause addictions are paracetamol, ibuprofen, diclofenac. It could A lot of cough syrups contain alcohol and codeine, and that can also increase your chances of having addictions to those drugs. The painkillers, basically tramadol. Most
Yeah.
people are being addicted to tramadol in Nigeria, especially because it's a very good pain med. It takes away your pain and it gives you some feeling of highness, but it's really really strong and it's really
Addictive.
really addictive for people. So those are medications that you would use normally in the hospital, but then they can cause addictions. And also we have morphine, which is a very good pain med. You can use morphine in patients who have cancer, because the kind of pain that people with cancer feel is so intense. Most of them get addicted to morphine, which helps them to feel less pain. There are people who get addicted to treatment for diabetes, metformin, because metformin helps you to lose weight. So some people forget the fact that it controls your glucose level, it reduces your glucose level. They focus on the fact that it helps them lose weight, and that can also be very bad for your health. So many simple medications that your doctors will give you can also cause addictions, and that's why in some countries there is a restriction to the amount of pills of certain medication that your doctors can give you, just to prevent addiction.
So the next question we got is drug addiction curable? Yes, it's curable. Albeit very difficult, but it's curable. It takes the conscious decision for you to be cured. Because first of all, you have to admit that you have a problem. If you are currently facing drug addiction, if you're currently going through this problem, the first step would be for you to actually accept that you have an addiction and then seek help. There are lots of ways that you can help cure drug addiction. None of them are easy, but the most important thing is that you're willing to try. You're willing to try to get cured, and you're willing to do better every time. You just take it one day at a time, right? So there's a lot of rehab, there's a lot of conscious decision making, there's a lot of abstinence, right, involved. So it's not easy, it's difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's no pill that you just take and then voila, you're cured. No, it doesn't work like that. It takes a long time for you to actually cure yourself. And the longer you take without the pills, if you get to relapse at some point, it's good, like starting from point zero. So it's a struggle, but it is possible. So the idea is for you to take the conscious decision that yes, I have an addiction and I want to get cured, and then you seek help, right? You can talk to a psychologist, you can go to rehab. Maybe some countries don't have access to things like that, but I'm sure that if you go to your basic clinic, they have ways that they can help you cure your addiction. But yeah, it's totally curable.
Our next question is, what happens when you relapse? So, basically, as a drug addict, it's very, very, very easy for you to relapse. And it's important for us to know that we have to support people who have drug addiction. It's a difficult, process for them, trying to get clean and trying to live a better life. But we tend to quickly judge them, and you went to take this and this one, look at your life now. But we really need to try to show support to the people around us, especially people who are struggling with drug addiction. So when people relapse, it's because their brain is used to the cycle of them taking drugs and dopamine levels being increased. It's when your body is used to something, it's difficult for you to stop. It's like all of us when we try to exercise, we try to eat healthy. It's like it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult.
Oh
We like ice cream, we like chocolate. Those are things that give us pleasure.
Yeah.
But we know that excess of it is bad, and we want to try to eat healthy. And somebody says that she eat broccoli. Like, God, it's not easy. Like, I can't even try to start eating broccoli. So like it's difficult. So we can even imagine their situation. It's really difficult. So we shouldn't be so quick to judge them and just push them to one corner. Most of them really need help from family and friends. So we should do our part and help them.
Yeah.
When they relapse, it's really difficult for them because most of these people have tried. They've gone 1 year without drugs, without alcohol, and all of a sudden they fall back on it. They feel like a failure. Some of them want to kill themselves. So don't be so quick to just push them away. Let's try to support them, because when they relapse, they have to start the process all over again, and that is difficult.
Yeah.
And apart from that, when you relapse, it doesn't mean that that is the end of the road. You can start afresh, and it means that your doctors would have to try new meds that would help you, because there are actually meds that will help you control your desire to go back to the drugs, to the alcohol, to the smoking. There's so many drugs that can help with that. But if you relapse for some reason, then there will be a need to like try new medications to see if that will help you.
Yeah, and don't tempt people, please. You know that someone is addicted to alcohol, and then you bring alcohol, like the one he or she likes very well, and then you start drinking it in front. Man, that's cold. That's just wicked.
The thunder.
Do it.
The thunder that will fire you for that.
Don't tempt them. Just help them and support them so that they can actually get over this addiction. So the next question is, how can we prevent drug abuse and drug addiction, right?
Good question.
Numero uno.
Number one.
Do not auto-medicate. I feel like this is something that we need to like really bang into people's heads. Do not auto-medicate. You feel like for every symptom you have, for every disease you have, you know the exact medicine that you need to take in order to cure it. But you're not a doctor. You don't know how many times you're supposed to take it in a day. You don't know the dosage. You don't know at what level will this cause a big problem for you. So it's just better for you to go to a doctor whenever you have a health issue that you need taken care of and you need to take drug for. Do not auto-medicate, because most of these minor drugs that we see that people take a lot, they auto-medicate because they feel like, oh, it's for pain, take tramadol or take ibuprofen or take paracetamol. People actually undervalue paracetamol, but do you know that you can actually get intoxicated with paracetamol? No matter how simple and minor that drug looks to you, people actually get intoxicated with it. So do not play with your life by thinking that you know everything. No, you don't. Go to a doctor, please. Next is, when the doctor tells you that you have to take a drug like this, stick to what your doctor has told you. Stick to doctor's prescription. Don't go and start in I know well.
Na my body.
Na my body.
Na me they feel the pain.
Yes. So this doctor does not know what he's doing. He told me to take only one, but one doesn't do anything for me. So I'll take two. I'll take three.
Vol35.
you're killing yourself, because there's a reason why there is a dosage for every drug. There is a reason why you have to space it, because these drugs have adverse effects. It's going to cure your symptom at that time, but there's always a mark it leaves on the body. There's always adverse effects it causes to the body. It doesn't just take away your pain or take away that symptom and then it goes. No, it doesn't just do that. It does that, but it also does some damage. So if you go and take more than you should take, imagine the risk you're putting yourself in. So please stick to doctor's prescription, right? Next is, well, judging from the history of drug abuse and most of the social factors that has increased the percentage of drug abuse and drug addiction we have in the world is due to social factors like peer pressure, your inner circle, the people you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people who are addicts and people who drink a lot, especially if you don't drink and then at some point you start drinking and maybe you're not able to control it the way they can. So these social factors have a way of influencing your decisions when it comes to drugs, right? Especially the alcohol, the tobacco, cocaine, marijuana, those things, the weed, so these things are drugs that are mostly shared in social gatherings when you all get together and you're like, chilling and all, and then someone just pops out weed. You don't take weed, but then they force you to try, even after you said no, and then you give in, and then poof, we have drug addiction. So you have to try to also look at the people you surround yourself with. Surround yourself with responsible people, with people who understand the meaning of no, the people who think about your health, as something that is very valuable to you, and things like that. I think when it comes to drug abuse and drug addiction, these social factors are actually the things that most times cause the addiction, not because of any other thing, but that's very important. You have to just take that into account. And stress is another thing that really makes people fall into drug addictions. I'm stressed out, I need to drink, and then you go drink, and then one becomes two becomes five, and then before you know it, we have someone who is addicted to alcohol, or people who smoke, and then you just want to look for a way to get away from your stress or get away from your problems. You have to find healthier ways in order to deal with issues. If you need to talk to someone, you talk to someone. It could be a friend, your family members, or a psychologist. I don't know if for some of you who would like to seek professional advice or attention, look for activities that you're passionate about, activities that help to de-stressify you. You could be reading, taking a walk, exercise, watching a movie, listening to music, something that you're passionate about, that helps to take your mind off the issues at hand. We're human beings, and we're always going to have problems. We're always going to have one issue or the other, a source of stress. So we have to look for a balance. We have to look for a way to be able to relax after so much stress, after so much adrenaline. So going to drugs is not the answer, really. You have to find healthier ways to deal with issues. So I think those are like the key pointers on how to prevent drug addictions.
Okay, before we go to the last question, I just realized that self-love is actually very important in this case, because most times you realize that people who don't love themselves, who are not comfortable with themselves, try to fit in to a group, a specific group. You want to look cool, you want them to think that you're cool, so you're going to do the same thing they're doing, take drugs and all, just for them to accept you into their social circle. My dear, if the people you want to hang out with need you to be something you're not, for them to accept you, please stay on your own. It's better. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. Don't get addicted to drugs because you're trying to feel cool. Okay? Okay, lastly, our last question says, what are the effects of drug addiction on other people. We've talked about how it affects you as the person who is addicted, but then your addiction can affect other people. So it's not just about you. If you're a woman who is pregnant and you're doing drugs, your baby is at risk of so many problems like malformations, deformities. If you're a smoker who smokes in public, other people who are non-smokers are at a risk of having lung diseases because you're smoking in the environment. If you're an alcoholic who drinks and comes home, and because you're drunk, you're angry at your wife, you beat her up, you can kill somebody because you're drunk or because you're addicted. Most times when you're addicted to drugs, like we've said, it causes hallucination. You start seeing things that are not there.
Yeah.
You start hearing things that are not there. So the woman did not say anything, but you heard that she insulted you, that she called you jobless man. Then you start hitting her. So it's like it messes up with your brain, and it's not just about you. It's about the society at large.
Yeah.
You can really affect other people because of your drug addiction. So please and please, this is very, very, very important. There is this Nigerian musician, I think David Jones, who is an activist for drug abuse, drug addiction. He always has good music about drug addiction. So I think that everybody, just like he's doing his part, we all have to try to do our part to help ourselves. To, if you see somebody who is gradually getting addicted to drug, do your part. Talk to the person, help them get help. If you can't do anything, but try to help them, so that at the end of the day we just help ourselves, because well, this world it belongs to us, and we all have to help each other. At the end of the day, we are all one, so let's think of each other.
Okay, so yeah, that's all for drug abuse and drug addiction. I hope this video has touched you and moved you to do new things in your environment when it comes to those addicted. So and I hope you've also learned something from it. And so I would encourage you to like the video, subscribe, like thumbs up. If you have any questions, comment, just put it on the comment section. We're always going to be on the lookout to answer your questions. And just share to others in order to educate them too. Just keep sharing and keep liking, keep commenting, be generous with the video. And and please don't forget to subscribe. Just subscribe, just click it right there, just subscribe.
Just click, and notifications.
That's very important, so that you can also get notified whenever we upload any video. So that's all for that. Bye, and see you next week.